everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing you guys the full collection from the new KKW Beauty and Mario collection. It is called The Artist and Muse, and I just love the entire aesthetic of this collection. It's so beautiful. I love the gray. I think the gray is just absolutely stunning. This is the old palette. This is the new palette. It's a little bit darker than the old palette, but the shades in here are absolutely beautiful. This collection comes with a lipstick, a gloss, a lip liner, and the blush. The entire set is $95. The blush is a sheer matte peach, and it's so beautiful. You guys know I love peach, and I just love the shade of this blush. It looks dark in the pan, but it's not that dark. And online, it looks really, really bright, but in real life, it's not that bright. So I'm gonna have a picture up here on the screen of the actual blush and what's online, and you can see the difference between the two. But this one is definitely the muted version of it, but it is a very, very beautiful blush. As you guys know, I have several things from KKW Beauty. It is one of my favorite brands. It's not because I'm a huge Kim Kardashian fan. I actually really enjoy her products, and I love her lip liners. I use them almost daily. I love her contour sticks. They are my absolute favorite. That is something that I cannot live without. I love her contour sticks. I really love her glosses. I love her lipsticks. The classic palette, this is one of my top 5 favorite palettes of all time. I reach for this palette constantly. So I'm very familiar with her brand. I have every palette from her collection except for the 2 mattes. So I didn't buy the solid matte palettes. I don't have those, but I have all of the others. And so I'm very, very familiar with her brand, and I know, how her shadows perform. So I'm going to compare the lip liner, to some of the lip liners that I have in my collection from her, comparing the matte lipstick compared to my nude lipsticks that I have. This is just the nude lipsticks that I have. I have more lipsticks from her. This is my glosses collection from her right here. I absolutely love them. They are one of my favorites. And now I have another one to stick right here to make it even. There you go. So yeah, when I say that I love her lip glosses and I love her lip products, I'm not lying. Let's go ahead and jump into the tutorial of me, playing around with the palette, applying the blush and applying the lipsticks and stuff. And then after I get through the swatches, I will come back and give you guys my full thoughts on all of the products that I used today. And of course, as usual, I will leave timestamps in the description box down below for those of you that don't want to watch the entire video and you just want to skip ahead to the parts that you're most interested in. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the tutorial, and I will see you guys in my final thoughts. Okay, I'm super excited to dive in to my new goodies from KKW Beauty. So that's how it comes. I'm going to do a little bit of contouring. So I'm grabbing the shade Dark. Actually, I prefer tan, but I'm gonna use dark right now. And I haven't powdered my face or anything. Lately, I've been powdering after I apply my contour and bronzer and blush and stuff like that. As you guys know, I love her contour sticks. They are one of my favorite formulas because they blend out really beautifully and they kind of dry down to a semi-matte finish. But if any of you out there would like to contour, but every time you contour it looks muddy or it doesn't look right, her contour sticks are bomb. They're very creamy and they kind of just melt right into the skin. So I just kind of do this stippling motion. I just kind of buff the cream out. And then of course using the sponge that I use to apply my foundation, having that handy to kind of melt it into the skin and kind of blend it into the foundation. But look how good that looks. It doesn't look choppy. It doesn't look muddy. It just looks so natural, and I absolutely love her contour sticks. By the way, what I use to blend out the contour is the Rephr P11A, which is my favorite. And I don't know if this is the prototype brush, because this is, they sent me a ton of brushes. I don't know if this is the prototype, but I absolutely love this brush. It's small enough to get in there and buff out the contour. I'm gonna bronze really fast. For my bronzer, I'm gonna take my Hourglass. This is the Radiant Bronze Light. And also using my Rephr P22 brush. This is my favorite bronzer brush of all time. I have been looking for a really good bronzer brush for a long time, and I've just never found it until I got this brush from Rephr, and I love it. It is fantastic. It's expensive, but so worth it. I'm looking a little bit bronzy, but that's okay. All right, I gotta find the blush in this set. This one's in the shade Very Graceful, and I love the packaging of this gray. Now, her old packaging, the corners were kind of sharp, and it seems like she's heard, you know, people mention that, and these are very, it's still in the square shape, but these are softened on the edge, so they're not sharp at all. I'm gonna use the Rephr 04. Ooh, that's a pretty shade. It'll look better once I put some powder on, but dang. I'm gonna use the highlighter in the shade Glitz and Glam. It's a really pretty kind of gold champagne shade. It's really pretty. So I'm gonna grab a little bit here on my Designer Pro Brush from Sonia G and just kind of sweep that on my cheekbone. It's a really pretty highlighter. I wouldn't say this is a highlighter that you're gonna wanna wear over any texture because it is a little bit more on the like impactful side, but it is a really beautiful highlighter. This is the Brighten shade. You can see that I've hit pan on this. I've actually really enjoyed this. I don't use it on a daily, but I like to take a brush and kind of just pop it right here. It will brighten, but be careful with it because it kind of has a tiny bit, like a small scale of a highlighter. So it's like, it's got a little bit of those highlighting properties, and so you don't want to go in too much with it, but see the difference that it made underneath the eye? It just kind of brightens it a little bit. But you just want to be careful not use too much, because if you use too much, it will kind of make it look like you put highlighter underneath the eye. But I do love the way that it brightens the under eye without needing to wear like 5 shades lighter of concealer. Like, I've kind of pulled away from wearing really light concealer under my eyes, and this will give you that look without looking fake, like a really light concealer will, if that makes sense. Okay, first up, I'm gonna go ahead and do my lips. So I'm gonna use the lip liner, and I love this coloring. So this is what the box looks like, and then the shade is called Beauty Icon. So, and as you guys know, I am a huge fan of KKW Beauty lip liners. I probably have, I don't know, 10 of them in my arsenal. I love her lip liners. They're creamier, so they're kind of the exact opposite of a MAC. Like MAC is, you know, a little bit more harder and a little bit more mattifying. These are exceptionally creamy. Later on during the swatches, I will swatch this shade next to all of the other shades that I have from her collection, so you guys can see what the shade looks like. But let's go in with the lipstick, which this is what the lipstick looks like. It's in the shade He's a Mixer. That's kind of cute. I don't know, this is a different formula from her other, and it's shaped different, so it's more rounded. It's just more matte. So that's the shade of this new one. It does have a pretty tone to it, but I will definitely compare it to the nude lipsticks that I have from her collection. And then it also came with the gloss, which I have all of her glosses, and I absolutely love them all. They are my favorite. So this one is Proud of You. Now this one doesn't have any sparkle or any glitter. Juicy is probably my top favorite. Juicy is more of like a peachy undertone. It's so pretty. Okay, so here is the palette, and it has them two on here, which is really cute. And it has them two on the front of the actual palette. So this was the box, this is the palette. So I'm glad that it has them on the actual palette itself. Ooh, and this is really pretty. So this is what it looks like. Okay, so I'm gonna first go into Don't Move right here. This is kind of more of like a bigger fluffy brush, so I'm kind of using that to kind of bring it all the way out and then all the way in, kind of just carving out. Now I'm gonna grab this brush, which is the Mini Booster. I'm gonna go into Don't Move and kind of thicken this up right here in this area. Bringing that shade on the lower lash line just to kind of smoke it out. And I'm using the same brush because I want it to be a little bit more smoked out. Didn't know that I was gonna love it. After you build it, like it takes a minute to build it. It is a nice cool tone brown. So I'm gonna go ahead and warm it up with Glam King, this shade right here. So now I'm gonna go into I'm Inspired, this one right here. I'm gonna pack this here on this outer corner. I am using the Rephr 02 brush. And then I'm kind of taking the tip of that brush and kind of bringing that right here, kind of carving out the crease with that shade. Bring it on the lower lash line. Okay, next I'm gonna grab my Worker Pro from Sonia G and I'm gonna go to NYC to LA, this one right here. Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of pigment. Okay, I'm gonna have to use my felt tip applicator. I think that shade is probably best used with a finger, but because I have nails on, it's hard for me to pick up shimmer shadows with my nails, and I end up getting it where I don't want it. I can do it, I just don't like the result when I get done. So I'm gonna kind of use that shade and kind of bring it up and into the crease, kind of over those matte shades to kind of lighten that up. That is a really pretty shade. It is a Kim K shade. That is definitely a shade that I could totally see Kim Kardashian wearing. It's just that neutral, you know, toned down shimmer shade. So let's amp things up and go in with I Need More Light, this like golden yellow color. I'm gonna place a little bit of that on the applicator and kind of place that right on the center of my eyelid. Wish that shade was a little lighter. So let's go over it with a Beauty Campaign, which I know it's kind of a pink tone, but hopefully it will kind of really brighten it up a little bit. Yeah. So mixing those two together gives you kind of that light champagne gold color. So this is the final look on both eyes, and I think it turned out really pretty. It's just kind of just a normal look, and there's really nothing like overly special about it. Just kind of a neutral brown look. It did turn out really pretty. I did struggle with some of the shades, which I will get into that in my final thoughts. But let's go ahead and jump into the swatches of the palette and the swatches of the lipstick and the lip liners and stuff next to some of the other KKW Beauty stuff that I have, and then I will get into my final thoughts. So now that we got through the swatches, I did want to show you guys what this shade looks like next to a few of the blushes that I have from KKW Beauty. Okay, so I have Destiny and Grace, which these two are very similar, but this one's lighter. This one's more of like a deeper terracotta, and this one's a lighter shade. And then I also have Flower Wall, which is from the Mrs. West collection. It's a little more pinky, really, really pretty. And then this is the new one. This one is much darker than the rest of these. So just so that you guys know that as far as the blushes go. As you saw in the swatches, the lip liner is pretty identical to the Nude Number 2. So if you guys already have Nude Number 2 in her lip liners, then you probably won't need this one from this new collection. Let me get into my thoughts about the palette. I absolutely love this blue and this like really pretty red shade. Like I think these are really pretty. The mattes is what I kind of struggled with. I don't know if it was just the way that I was applying and trying to blend. I'm not sure. I will continue to kind of play with them, and I will let you guys know. I will like probably pin a comment in the comment section and just let you guys know. This is one of my top like 5 favorite palette, like most used palette out of my entire collection. This is the classic palette. This is the palette that I reach for the most. This is just one of those like classic staple palettes that I need. And I reach for when I'm using like a single pot eyeshadow, like whether it's a shimmer or a cream or whatever. This is the palette that I will pair those, you know, products with. The old Mario palette was not my favorite. Now, it was the first palette from her collection, and back then, you know, this has been, what, a year ago now? And I was like, okay, this is a good palette. It's a decent palette. It wasn't like my all-time favorite, but it was a decent palette. Once I got the classic palette, I really started to fall in love with her shadows. They're not overly pigmented. They're pigmented enough that when you put them on the eye, you can really blend them out, and they're beautiful. But they're very controllable. I don't get a lot of fallout with them, and they're just one of those like easy shadows, you know, that just is super dependable. That's kind of my take on her shadows. This palette, I believe, has better shades. For me personally, this one has better shades. I love this pop of like yellow and like these blues. On his Instagram, he talked about how he wanted to make this very universal and very easy to create. I do love the layout of the shadows. You know, you can like kind of do these quad moments. You've got a look here, you've got a look here. It's just, it's nice. The layout is really nice. But it was just the mattes that I kind of struggled with. But the shimmers were really beautiful. I will be honest though, for those moments that you don't want that really pop-in shimmer. So I know a lot of you out there have always said to me, you know, I'm older and I don't really like those really strong shimmer shades on my lid. I feel like it ages me, and I understand, because as your eyelid gets more wrinkly, I can understand that, because like when I try to do makeup on my grandma or my mom, you know, their eyelids are a little more wrinkly, and it does seem like a really strong shimmer kind of exaggerates the wrinkles and doesn't really kind of blend in. This shade over here on the end, NYC to LA, that shade is perfect. For those of you out there that don't like that harsh shimmer on the lid, it's very, very smooth, but it's almost a satin shimmer. It's not a full shimmer. It's very, very interesting. It's something I really, really like. I didn't think I was going to like it when I first picked it up, because I was like, wait, that's kind of, what is that? But it's so soft on the eyelid that as soon as I put it on my eye, I knew that I was going to really love that shade. You do have some of your stronger shimmers, you know, like the gold is very, very strong. And then, you know, even this blue was really easy to swatch. And I mean, it's really pretty. But I do want to mention something. So as you swatch it, so here I have it on my finger. As you swatch it, it removes from the finger. Like there's hardly anything there. So it is one of those type of shadows that when you swatch it or when you put it on the lid, majority of the pigment removes from your finger and transfers on, you know, to your arm or your eyelid or whatever that you're doing with it. I would not say that this formula in this palette is as similar to some of her other palettes. So this one is a little bit different. I'm going to continue to kind of play around with the matte shades And like I said, I will let you guys know in the comments down below, you know, if the mattes were something that I still struggled with. I'll continue to use it throughout the week. In both eyes, I really struggled, and I still did not get this fully like blended. I just didn't love the way that the mattes blended together. It was almost like you really couldn't build the dimension, you know what I mean, with like in a more smooth kind of blown out way. It was more like line, you know what I mean? And it was just a little bit harder to kind of work with. I do really like the shades in here. And so it could have just been, you know, a day that I just was not, I don't know. I don't know what the deal was. I will say about the lipstick, this is the first matte lipstick that she's ever had in her line. I love her lipsticks. I don't love the way they smell. They have like a crayon-y smell, but I love them because they give your lips this beautiful shine. And they're very satin. They kind of remind me of the Kissing formula from Charlotte Tilbury. Her lipsticks are extremely pigmented, but they give the lips just this beautiful shine. But the thing that I personally like about her nude collection is the color selection. The nude lip liners are definitely my favorite, but it's the color selection that I love the most. I feel like they're the most nude. Out of all of the nudes out there, this is the most nude collection. This one is different. It definitely has a matte texture to it, and it's a definite mixer. So it says he's a mixer, and he's definitely a mixer. You're gonna wanna mix this with a, you know, some sort of a lip liner that has a little bit of dimension to it because it's exceptionally nude. I mean, it's a traditional nude matte. Oh, Garoni, I just broke it. Well, I just broke it. I went to swatch it and I broke it. That really sucks. It just completely broke. It's a little bit too chalky for me in this matte lipstick. I don't love the formula. I feel like there's a lot of really good matte lipsticks out on the market that are not as dry, and I feel like that's the reason why this broke, because I didn't have it screwed up. I probably had it like this because I know not to unscrew my lipsticks all the way up to swatch them because I swatch so many lipsticks. This one I feel like is a little bit too dry, and I think that's the reason why it broke when I went to swatch it. I don't know that it's going to be all that long lasting because see, as I kind of just take my finger, I'm not going like this. Okay, so I'm going to take the broken piece. Let me show you what I'm talking about. It's going to be a little bit difficult, but okay, so there's a good swatch, okay? And that's a pretty decent amount. I don't even know that you would apply that much on your lips, but I'm going to just take my ring finger, which is a very delicate and light pressured finger, and I'm going to go over it, and I just don't feel like it's going to last that long. Like, I feel like it's going to bleed because of the way that it's created. I don't know. I don't love the matte lipstick. I'm just going to tell you that. I love the gloss. I think the gloss is beautiful. I like the blush. If you like that color of blush, I think that blush is really beautiful because it's very buildable. So if you have a dark skin, you know, you can really build it. If you have a light skin, you can lightly dust it on the cheek. It looks really dark in the pan, but it's not that dark when you put it on. And it's a very buildable blush, which is what I love and look for. So this is not really a matte. I would say this is more of a satin type of formula. I really like the formula on the blush. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for the love that you show me and my channel. It means so much to me. I hope you guys have a wonderful week filled with love and joy. I will see you guys in my next video, and I love you all so much. Bye.